Hey, this is Bunny. We're back today to paint randomly. I don't have a plan, but we're back here to paint this sun gate. Now, it is clear plastic, and you can't prime clear plastic with a typical dark spray primer, which is normally what I use. So I have primed this piece, but I had to go very gently with a clear primer, and I used a brush. Okay? And now, because this is clear plastic and there's spots we're going to leave clear plastic, you're going to very carefully use a small brush for pretty much the entirety of this thing. There's a little rock here as well. And we are going to attempt to not get paint all over this guy. So I'm just going to pull that little bristle out. And then we're just going to go carefully. Go carefully. These can be tough because you need to be really careful with where your paint is, because most of this is clear, right? Most of this is clear. So I've got a couple of loose bristles. I don't want that. So we're just being really careful when you're painting on clear plastic, primed or not, because some clear plastics you don't have to prime, read the package. But if you don't have to prime them, take a look at where you're painting before you start, because there's not a lot of room for error. Okay? You don't want to be missing a lot of spots, but you also don't want to be hitting where you're hoping the clear part will be. So it's a delicate balance between you're definitely missing and now you've painted somewhere you want to stay clear. So a lot of this is getting painted. Like, I'm doing a lot of silvers and golds, and obviously I gotta paint this rock. And we're gonna go slow and steady. So all we're doing is covering this rock, then we're going to let it sit and dry completely. So this won't take long to actually paint, because we are letting it dry thoroughly in between. We definitely need to give it some time to dry, and it's going to take a little while. So actual painting time won't be bad with this piece, but it's still going to take a while because of the dry time. Okay, so that's dry. So now we're going to start laying on some gold. And I'm going to be pretty careful with my gold because I don't want it in the bad spots. Don't want it in the bad spots. I don't want it to fall in between. I want it to stay on the fancy spots. I don't want it to fall. I want it to look nice. I want it to look nice. I need more gold. It is better to have only a little on your brush at a time and go from there, because otherwise, I'm going to paint all these raised areas gold. I'm going to come back with green, but I'd rather have these raised areas gold. I'm going to paint these arms a different color, and also we're going to have to do 2 passes of gold. Okay. We're going to get in between these as well, and I'm going to paint the sun's arms a different color. Okay, that's just a choice I've already made. Actually, I just made it right now. To make it sound like I made that choice a long time ago, but I didn't. I literally made that choice like right now. But I'm going to come back and add a couple of different colors, or maybe just one different color to the bundle. Probably green onto what it looks like vines, but first they're getting gold. First they're getting gold because I like gold. I like gold. And yeah, I'm winging it. You don't always need a plan. Sometimes you need a plan, but right now I'm winging it, and that's fine. It's just a sun gate. We're not going to worry about it. Think about when you're painting stuff like this, figure out how often are you actually going to use it. Like, if you're like most of us, you're not going to use a piece like this very often. So yeah, you want it to look nice, but is it going to be the end of the world if it's not perfect? No. So I'm more likely to put time into characters. Actually, I think I can do the other side as long as I keep my fingers off of that. I'm gonna keep my fingers off of that. I should be okay. I should be okay. And it's better to go lightly and have to go back a bunch of times for more paint, because this is the kind of thing, if you get too much paint flowing at once, you're going to end up with paint in the gaps. And I want the gaps to still have that stained glass appearance, right? I don't want craziness to be happening. I just want a stained glass appearance. And you can't do that if you accidentally overload it with paint and the paint slips down in between. So better to go back and reload your brush multiple times and just take a little bit each time. And I kind of like to do little dabs sometimes, just because I want the gold on there. I don't want to get crazy about it. I really am just trying to avoid having gold dip down in the in-between. Right? I don't want the gold getting in between, getting on what I'm going to leave as glass. And again, we're just going to make sure we have enough paint between these guys, and then we're gonna let it dry. Remember, when you're doing your primers, you can't spray dark primers on these unless you want to cover it up. If you don't like the look of the clear plastic, you can just spray it black with your primer. Okay, we're going to let that dry, come back, and I think I'm gonna do a different color on the arms. I just don't know which color yet. We'll come back and find out. Okay. I've decided to go with silver for these guys. Each one getting some silver. I'm going to turn it over in a second. There we go. How did I decide on silver? That's the color I drew out of the box. I'm winging it here. There's nothing wrong with winging it. You can completely wing it, right? You don't have to have a plan. You just have to like what your plan ends up being. I'm gonna have to touch up some of that gold because I kind of missed. And I got some on the gold area. That's okay. We'll touch up the gold. It's not that big a deal. We'll touch up the gold afterwards. It's really fine. But I could have done this gold as well, but I kind of didn't want to. I didn't want it to be all the same. I wanted a few contrasting colors. I think I'm going to add a splash of green on the little knobby vine things. I'm going to do that just so that there's more than just gold, silver, and gray. I think it'd be nice. And then we are still going to do a wash, because a wash will help A light wash will help. Probably do a sepia, but a light wash, gentle wash color will help kind of define the details. There we go. There we are. End. Always get the end. So when you're painting on clear, just make sure you know where you want to leave the clear, because it's really hard to take back the paint after you've already hit that zone, right? It's quite difficult to say, oh no, I didn't mean that. So make sure you know where you want to keep the clear. Like I knew I didn't want to keep these arms clear, so I didn't care if I got some gold on them. But when I was doing the gold, I knew for sure that I wanted, here we go. I knew for sure that I wanted to keep the stained glass clear, so I had to avoid it. Anyway, we're going to let that dry, and then we are going to come back, do some green, let that dry, and then we will come back and do a sepia wash. It'll be fun. Okay, just a couple of more colors to go on here. I just want to get some brighter yellow. Need some more water on that. This color that I'm using is almost dried up, honestly. I just want to do a little bit of brighter yellow. And then we're going to start on some green. And we're just going to do this brighter kind of emeraldy green. Just a little bit. I don't want to completely cover the gold. Just like on these viney areas. Let's do that. I don't want to cover the gold completely though. So I'm working with the green that I watered a bit. If you water it down, there we go. If you water it down, it's not quite so covery. That's not a good word for it, but it doesn't have quite the same amount of coverage. So I don't want it completely covering that gold. I still want the gold to shine through. Anyway, that only took a couple of seconds. We are going to come back and we are going to do a wash on it. And as soon as we do a wash on it, we'll be done. So I know that segment only took a couple seconds. That's okay. Sometimes you only need a couple seconds. Okay, what we're going to do now is lay this guy on his side. And we're going to hit him with a wash. I'm using just a sepia wash. We're just going to let it soak in. And this is important that everything's dry because washes are very wet. If they're not dry, if your items are not dry, what's going to happen is all your paint's going to run. So we're going to fill it up, dump some of that out. There we go. Let that dry. Then we'll come over and flip it over as soon as that's dry. Again, each of these steps only takes a few seconds. That's all you need. All right, that side's done. Give it a flip. And another nice little coating on the other side, especially on the rock. Rocks look so much better if you hit them with a wash. It just brings out their dimension. Okay, we're going to let that dry. I'm not going to do any dry brushing only because this is a very difficult piece to dry brush and I kind of like the way it's looking. We'll see. So we're going to let that dry. I know it only took a few seconds. That's the nice thing about these smaller bits of scenery. They only take a few seconds. So we'll come back and see if we're done. And just like that, all done. Little things like this don't take very long, and they don't require a lot of worry. But it is nice to paint your little bits of scenery because they do look awesome. So remember, you don't have to spend a lot of time on little pieces of scenery that are only going to be in 1 or 2 moments of your entire campaign. Don't fuss with them too much. Do jazz them up just a little bit. It'll make your entire campaign a little more fun. That's about it for us today. I hope you'll be back with us next time. Bye!